Hey there, my name is Luke McLean. I'm a life coach, meditation teacher, and personal trainer, and I'm the founder of Project 40. And what I do in Project 40 is I help and work with men in their 40s and 50s to become fitter, healthier, stronger, and more present physically and mentally. And why I do that is because being a man in my 40s, I understand the pace and pressure of, of life. Having kids, having a career, having a mortgage, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of challenges within being a man in your 40s and 50s. And I also understand the importance our wellness plays in being central to performance, to being at our best. And when we're at our best for ourselves, we're at our best for others. And that includes having the physical energy, the mental clarity to be able to show up and respond in those stressful situations and moments at our best. And if you're not looking after yourself physically and mentally, then you're not at your best. And that's as simple as that. So the work that I do with men is I help them build the training, the practices, the systems, and the foundations of their physical and mental health so they can then invest in it, give them this consistency to commit to it so they get the results from it, and allow them to use wellness as the foundation to be at their best, not just now, but also in the future. If you're in your 40s, especially if you're in your 50s and you're wanting a quality of life in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, but you're doing no work, no training, no practices physically or mentally, the quality of your life in retirement is going to be vastly diminished, and poorer than someone that is in better shape in their 40s and 50s. That's the reality. So I don't know. That's an investment. I call that when I work with someone, it's like super for the body and mind. It's like you're putting the work in now to reap the rewards later. We invest money now so we've got a quality of life later financially. Well, we need to invest time and effort now into our health and well-being so we can enjoy our bodies and our minds more as we get older, or else we're going to have all this money, but we're going to be around in a walking stick. We're not going to be able to enjoy our holidays, play golf to any sort of degree because we're out of shape because we haven't invested now. So as a coach, that's what I do. And the biggest problem men face and everyone faces is that they haven't done the foundational work of developing their wellness plan, their wellness strategy, building their identity. They don't see themselves as fit and healthy people. They see wellness and fitness is something separate to who they are. And every time it's separate to who we are, we've got friction and we'll drop it. So if you're someone that's tried to get fit, you've bought the running sneakers, you've joined the gym, you've gone on the diet, you've had the PT, and then you haven't been able to sustain it or maintain it, it's because you haven't done the foundational work to set it up properly. Same as if you start a business without a plan, without a vision, without some values, eventually when that business gets busy and the pressure gets on, that business will struggle because it's got no foundation to ground it in. We do this with business every day, yet with our personal wellness we don't. So that's the work that I do as the coach at starting wise, and then we get the workouts and we start to get the action happening. Now, that's what I do. Project40.com.au, that's where you can check it out. And that's who this podcast is brought to you by. And the podcast is called Conscious Conversations. And what I do, it's a 3-in-1 model. 3 of the weeks I'll talk around a topic or something that I really value or that's inspiring me. And then on the other week, I have a guest on. So today I'm going to talk a lot around the power of running. Running, physical exercise, but for me, running especially has changed my life, but it's a powerful practice, not just for the physical benefits you get from it, but the life lessons running teaches us is enormous. And I feel like if you physically can run, and you're able to do it, that I would encourage everyone, especially to run in nature, to build a running practice into their week, into their month, into their wellness. For me, when we work out and we push ourselves physically, we build resilience. When you've gone to the well physically, whether that's running, whether that's CrossFit, whatever that is, if you stretch the physical limit where you're exhausted, where you're sweating, where you're short of breath regularly, you build resilience because you push to an end, then you've got to rest and recover. Those moments help you in other aspects of life. So when a meeting gets tough or the kids get challenging, you have put yourself in a stressful situation. You've physically stressed the body. So when stress comes on, you know what stress feels like, what it looks like, and then how to respond to it better. Stress within itself is not the problem. Often it's our response to stress that's the problem. Change itself is not the problem. It's often our response to change that's the problem. And the curse of modern life is convenience, that we want everything to be as easy and effortless as we possibly can, and we don't want to do anything that could cause discomfort. But the problem is when we never do anything that causes discomfort, we never put ourselves in a stressful state. When stress comes on, we have no idea what to do. We fold like a deck of cards because we're not practiced in this anymore. So this is one of the reasons why I really love running, and I especially like running long distances, is because the self-discovery that you learn when you're alone with yourself and you're in a discomfort spot and there's no one else, that you have to draw on resources. And the more you do that, the more resources you draw on, the more resilient you become. So that's the first reason why I really think running should be part of who we are and what we do. We should physically work ourselves, when we build up to it, and we go about it the right way, but we should put ourselves in stressful physical situations more often than we do because they help us. And I often wonder, and I talk to men, especially men that are in their 40s and 50s, of how often physically do you bring it? Do you get to the gym or you go for a run and you really push these days, where you push it, where you give it a crack? And it's not to do it all the time, but to be able to draw on that sometimes. And very often, men very rarely, if ever, physically push themselves anymore. It's almost a feeling that your 20s, your early 30s are that time, and then once you get to late 30s, early 40s, you check out from physically working the body to any sort of intensity. And it's not, we're not broken at 50, we're not broken at 40, we don't have to be put in porcelain just yet. When wrapped up, we're not going to break. As long as we do the work and we consistently commit to it and we build up the engine and we keep looking after ourselves, the body's a pretty resilient, machine. We can do these things. And the mindset we have is, back in my day, I used to, or when I was your age, when we're telling those stories, we're defeated. We're a defeated man because we're just thinking about yesteryear. We don't class, or we don't even have the mindset. We're defeated of, I used to be fit, I used to be healthy, I used to be strong, now I'm not. You've given up. That's what I see when I hear those stories. You sit around and have a beer with guys I used to play footy with, and back when I was your age, they'd say to a young kid, or back in my day, today's your day. But today is your day still. Today is the day because it's the present, and where you are is where you're at, and where you are is where you're at because that's what you've got. And we've got to understand that, and that's where you're meant to be because that's where you are. So if you are, 10 or 15 kilos overweight, that's where you need to be because that's where you are, and the acceptance of that is important to move forward. Old stories don't help, unless you're learning from that old story to redirect you to a better story for now. That old story is irrelevant, and often we live from those old stories. The second part of why I love running, and especially running in nature, is the presence. When you trail run, more so, you've got to be, literally, you have to be where your feet are. So I like to practice mindfulness. I can run and practice mindfulness. I can spend a good amount of that run feeling every rock under my foot. I can look at the trail as it opens up, as it happens, and I have to be here and now, because if I get distracted or if I look over to the left or the right, I'm going to trip over. So it's forcing a practice of presence with me. And that's another part of running that I really like, is I like to know where my feet are. I like to feel the ground, and the rocks when I'm running. I like to feel that if I don't, something's going to happen, and I need to be present. I need to be here and now. So running teaches presence. Running for me is it's a discipline that I there's a commitment to getting up and doing the work, and the work is measurable. I can measure how many kilometers I've done. I can measure how much I've extended each week, like how many hills I've climbed. I can measure the calories that I've burnt when I've run. I can measure it. There's discipline around it. I can clearly set goals, and I like that about running with me. Sometimes I run without the watch, and I don't care. I know how far I've been, but I like to be able to measure my progress, and it's such a great lesson for life. And I'm going to do in January with men, which is the 150 challenge, which is to walk or run 150 kilometers in 30 days, which is 5 kilometers a day. But 150 kilometers seems like a long way, which it is. But when we run, the consistent commitment to doing the work regularly, we build the kilometers up, and we can literally see the progress of how far we've come from running 20 kilometers a week to 40 to 60 to 80 to 100. We can see results there, and that's huge for me. I like to see that that I'm accomplishing something, and putting in the work. And running doesn't lie. You've got to leave your door, and you've got to get back. And you can walk if you want, but there's no shortcuts. And that's really nice for me. I'm not cheating myself. I've got to do the work, and that's such an important thing we've got to understand, is you've got to do the work. And Brad Stulberg in his book Groundedness talks about this: is talking about the work is not the work. Thinking about the work is not the work. Doing the work is doing the work. And that's in every aspect of life, of you being a parent, in your career, in your relationship with your wife. Thinking about being a better husband is not being a better husband, right? Being a better husband and doing the work through your actions and your behaviors, your systems, your processes, your boundaries, that is doing the work. So, and that's really reflective of running. Running requires rest and recovery. And again, if I don't rest and recover properly, I don't perform. Another incredible life lesson of we need to stress, we need to rest, we need to recover well, and then we need to be able to go again. The reason I feel like a lot of people don't need rest and recovery is because they're not stressing. So we're not living close to our capacity, potential, or possibility. We're just constantly living at 55, 60% of our intensity. So it's we don't rest or recover from that. We just grind out 60% days every day. And performance requires that we can move ourselves up to 80, 90, 100%, but we can't stay there. I can't sprint the marathon, right? I can't sprint every run. It requires rest and recovery, so you freshen up, so you get re-energized, so when it's time to go again, you can perform at a high level again. Then you rest and recover. Sleep, the quality of what we put back into our bodies, our fuel, things like cold showers, breath work. These are all recovery practices that allow us to come back, to our homeostasis, to our state, and then be ready to go again. And if you think you're a performer, but you don't have a quality rest and recovery practice, you're not a performer, because you're not performing at a level that requires rest or recovery. There's a big difference. So that's something I think we've got to understand and look into is the power of rest and recovery. And running, again, for me, teaches me that I've got to At night time, build the practice in of getting on the foam roller and rolling out the calves, getting into the hip flexors, taking magnesium. There's an element of the running that involves self-care and self-work. And any time that you're doing that work is an investment in yourself that I think is worthwhile. For me, it's the running just gives me the focus to do that extra stuff. So that's really important. Being out in nature is the last one where we need to be outside more. Running out in nature, for me, it's a mindfulness practice. It's a time where I feel connected to God. It's a time where I can self-reflect and get clarity. It's good for my wellness, my physical health, and my mental health. So it's like a run in nature, listening to birds by myself. My general go-to is I start the run. Say I'm running for 90 minutes. I'll start the run with nothing, and I'll do the first 15 to 20 minutes with nothing. Then I'll put a podcast or a book on and listen to that for maybe 30 minutes. So, now I'm into 50 minutes. And then I'll put some, I'll put some bangers on. I'll put some hip hop music on for another 20 minutes. So that gets me to 70. And then I often will finish the run for the last 20 again back in silence. And it's a cool mix. I like it. It breaks the run up for me that I get some alone self-reflection. That first part of the run is to feel the body, to feel any soreness, to feel the legs, to feel the feet. That's my mindfulness time. Podcast just allows me to put my mind into some learning. Often I'll stop maybe if I'm on a longer run and take notes of what I'm learning and listening to. And then the music puts me in a state of just, the energy's up and I'm bouncing around a bit. That's when I'll run a bit quicker for that 20 minutes. And then the last part for me, is a time of self-reflection where I start to set myself up for the day. I start to think about the person I want to become. I think about the energy I want to bring. I think about the meetings that I might have, the relationship I've got with my wife, how I want to show it to my kids. That last 20 minutes is me to become more grounded and reset. I find that break up quite good for me. So I don't know if that would help for you. So that's for me. That's what running does for me. And it doesn't have to be running for you, but a practice that hits a lot of markers, that hits the physical, that hits the mental, that hits the spiritual, that hits the mindful, that hits the self-reflective, gives you that. If you can find something, whether that's surfing, whether that's canoeing, walking, cycling, it doesn't matter what that is. If you've got a practice that it could be being in the garden, but if you've got a practice that hits a few boxes, I find that's a really good thing to do, as opposed to my gym is just my physical. Then I want to do meditation and mindfulness, which is my mental, and then I'm going to do self-reflective. We can do all those practices separately, which I do, but often if I don't have time throughout the day, I'll bunch that in that one run. And that's me, and I feel good about that. So, that's where I really see the benefit. It's like a one-stop shop for me, the run. So there's a bit of an insight into why I run, the importance of running. And if you haven't got something like that in your life, I'd really invest in 2023 to look for something that you think could be your thing that running is for me, that is for you. Have a great day. Take care. Merry Christmas to everyone. Look after yourselves. Be clear, be committed. Start to think about and build momentum for the work you want to do and the person you want to be and become in 2023. Be intentional earlier and trying to hit that Jan period, with some momentum, not going into it cold or reactional. But have a great day. If you want to learn more about me, what I'm doing, head to project40.com.au. You can email me at luke@lukemclean.net. I'm taking clients at the moment. If you're a man and you're like, what, I want to invest in myself. I want to commit to myself this year. This resonates. I want to be better for myself. I want to be better for my kids, my family, my work. And I want some support to do that. Shoot me an email. We'll touch base. We'll talk. I'll see if what I'm doing with Project 40 resonates and would work for you to get the result that you want. And if it does, let's get started. If it doesn't, you know what? You've had a good conversation. I'll probably help you get some more clarity on where you are and where you need to go. And you've started to take action. Have a great day. Take care.